locked position, it can be that way. One of the other main features about the hand that really differs from other manufacturers is that it does have a motor in the thumb, so the thumb is myoelectrically driven into position rather than need to be manually positioned. So basically the thumb has 3 different positions that it moves from. This is the position it will always come back to at rest. It's its neutral position, and it'll move then from there. So the first thing that'll happen is the motor in the thumb will be activated when you fire your myo signal, be it a flexor or extensor. The thumb will either move partway out to the side and then come to a position to create a lateral grip, or else it will go to a very wide open position and then come in contact with the two fingers, then making the typical 3-jaw chuck that we've had with our standard Bach hands. After the thumb gets positioned, then there's a main drive that kicks in, and then that's going to control then these 4 fingers moving. Unlike the other, or different than the other manufacturers, it's moving at the MCP joint. It's not multi-axial, so it's not going to, everybody says, can you make a fist with it? No, you can't make a fist with it. It's going to then have all 4 of the fingers that are going to be moving via the main drive. The way the mechanisms work is these 2 fingers are really the most rigid. There's a combination of plastics and aluminum, and then this is a Technogel covering over the outside. So they're really going to be the accumulation of the grip force. They did, even though they are all tied to the main drive, these 2 fingers are decoupled from each other. So say if these 2 fingers would in fact contact something small, these fingers and the rest would continue to move to help then contour around an object. These 2 fingers are also mounted by a spring mechanism, so they really react a little bit different than the main 2 fingers. Again, those being more responsible for grip force, these really being able to be more movable so that they'll be able to contour to different objects and shapes and things like that. The emergency opening, the neutral position. A lot of people, when the thumb is going back to neutral, if something would come in contact, say a water bottle is a very appropriate thing, you actually get about 3 pounds of grip force in here. So you actually can use just this sort of going back to neutral as a gripping pattern in addition to this lateral in opposition. It also, when the thumb moves out to its widest position, you're able to put some resistance to it, and it will stay in an open palm position as well. So then that's another way that you can utilize the hand. But really, just in neutral, just like a lot of us, you use your hand for a lot of things. You're not always grasping and releasing something. So this could be used to, stabilize something on a countertop. You're writing a piece of paper. You're cooking and you just want to stabilize something. The other thing is because the flexible wrist. Most myoelectric wearers, because you don't have that, if you try to do something on tabletop, you're doing this kind of a thing because the wrist isn't, we can get plugged back in to work on it. You don't have a flexible wrist. With this, because the wrist moves, you really are able to use the wrist in an extension to then maybe do more things on a tabletop. You can pick up things from the floor. We call this also when the hand goes back to that neutral position, because it only has 3 pounds of pinch force. You can feel very comfortable reaching out and shaking somebody's hand, because 3 pounds is never enough that it's ever going to squeeze somebody or hurt them in any way. So you can feel confident about that. So there are lots of different things that you can program with this. There's the software. Again, we are connected wirelessly. There's a Bluetooth module inside of this. That's part of the master controller that's inside of here. The other one thing I'll point out is that, again, it is a new prosthetic system, and it was developed to be very future-oriented. It has the ability to plug in 8 different inputs into it. So it's really looking to where the field of prosthetics is potentially going to go. Are we going to have implantable electrodes and multi axes of movement and so on and so forth. So potentially anything that's developed in addition to the hand, again with the wrist, you could potentially have simultaneous control of everything, because if you do have multiple inputs to put into it, then you have an ability to control everything really all at the same time. So what we need to do, again, is there are ways to slow the hand down, to speed it up. You hear it's been beeping every time she's been doing some different things, and then you're able to set up the way that it's going to switch. So if you had any experience with myoelectrics, if you ever put a rotator in a system, you needed to set it up that you switch between the hand and the rotator to either get the rotator to be moving and creating a rotation, or else the hand to be working. What we need to do with this is set up a switching mechanism to either have it going into the lateral grip and go into the opposition grip. So real quickly, Kathy, I asked her to do just that real quick little spike of her inside muscle. So she did that. So that's a switching mechanism called impulse switching. So you actually have 6 different ways that you can set up as to how this will switch from lateral to opposition. So it's just a matter of, working with the patient, finding out what works with them, finding out there's timers and thresholds and a lot of different sort of tweaking things within the software that you can really customize it then to set it up for the patient. Anything else?
Let's go for it.
So right at this moment, which is also a nice thing, and I know patients are always really, really anxious to just start to move this, but it is a hand we find that you really need to do some education for a patient. If they've been a long time MyoWare, it functions very differently than a standard hand. So it's important to let them know what it's going to do, what to expect, and how they're going to operate it. So what we're going to do first of all, it right now is going to go from, it's in the opposition mode right now. So what's going to happen is the thumb, when I activate it, you're going to fire just like you do with your standard Myo. You're going to fire your outside muscle to open, your inside muscle to close. The thumb's going to move out and around, and it's going to come in contact with the 2 fingertips for opposition. So we'll just do that a couple times, and then we'll go to the other mode. Okay, so go ahead and just open and close.
Very cool. Oh, go slow.
Yep, and it's a proportional, just like your other system is.
Apparently I'm recommend closing slow.
There, you got it.
Very cool.
Okay. I'm going to ask you to open one more time, and then after you open, just relax.
Ooh.
Okay, so then
Oh,
that's that.
sorry.
No,
Did you do that or did I do
that's
that?
the neutral timer, so
Oh.
that's exactly what the hand does. So after the last open signal, as soon as they relax, then a timer kicks in, and then it'll bring that thumb back to that neutral
Oh.
position. So then if you're finished with your activity, instead of having to think, oh, I have to close one more time, or where did I leave my thumb, where was it when I last was doing something, it's always going to go back to that rest position and then stay there until you're ready to do the next
That's
activity.
cool.
Yep. So now go ahead and do that quick inside bustle. Actually, you already had done it.
Oh.
Push it back to opposition.
Oh, sorry. Should I
That's
do
all
it
right.
again?
Do it again. Okay.
I
So
did
now
it
you.
twice.
No,
That's
actually,
okay.
you did it once.
Oh, okay.
So now you're in. So now go ahead and fire your open muscle, and then you're closed. So now it goes to the other grip pattern.
Oh.
So now it's in the lateral.
Now what would you use?
Lots and lots
Yeah.
of things.
You want a TV?
Oh.
Holding magazine, holding paper, holding a menu, books, CDs. Really what we found is that most people, because when you start to use it, they still want to go back to this grip because that's what they become familiar with, but after they start to use it, this is
right.
really the grip that they use more often. This grip is something that's always in the line of sight. You're using that entire finger then to help support the weight and to be able to then to have it to stabilize as well as then to visually see what it is
Holding a
that you're
plate
holding.
at the buffet.
And,
That's why I got married.
That's actually what he's
So then that same thing, go ahead and open all the way, and now just relax. So now again, you're finished, and then it goes back to the neutral
That's
position.
very cool.
Yep. And as far as switching from the one to the other, you can do the switching at any point. You don't have to wait till the thumb comes back to neutral. If you were in the middle of doing something here, and you think, oh no, it would really be better if I was in this grasp, if you do that quick muscle, it would then switch to the other grip pattern.
Okay. So it's, can I do that?
Mhm.
Wait.
There you go. So now you switched it, so now it's going to go back into the other opposition.
Oh, I have to open it to make it go in.
It always has the thumb motor has to run first, so the thumb always has to run itself to the position to be able to then close.
Okay, I'm doing nothing. Oh, there, okay. Yeah, we can. Okay, but this doesn't have, so the wrist does not rotate.
Yeah, passively,
Oh, passively, but not, okay.
but not myoelectrically,
Okay,
not at
right.
this point. And that's
Okay.
the next product, that's in a beta test phase right
So
now,
if you
our
were
wrist
cutting your
unit.
steak,